24th of June 2025, at about 4 in the morning, a Russian landing craft raced toward the Ukrainian coast of the Black Sea, completely unaware it was being stalked from above. What happened next wasn't just a drone strike. It was a masterclass in modern warfare, where one silent operator, armed with a $5 million flying machine, would change the course of the conflict in just 43 seconds. This wasn't luck. It was timing, precision, and a camera lens sharper than any battlefield eye. What the drone uncovered wasn't just a convoy, but a secret operation that Russia never intended the world to see. Until now. It was 4:14 a.m. on June 24, 2025, and the Black Sea stretched endlessly under a blanket of darkness. Somewhere on those cold, black waters, a Russian landing craft packed with 30 soldiers raced toward the Ukrainian coast near Kersonen. However, the crew had no idea they were being hunted. High above them, a Turkish-made drone had been silently watching for 27 minutes. In just 90 seconds, what seemed like a routine military operation would explode into one of the war's most shocking moments. The hunter drone was a Bayraktar TB2, Turkey's answer to America's famous Predator drone. However, this wasn't some cheap toy you could buy online. It was a $5 million flying machine that could stay in the air for over a day without landing. Piercing through the skies at 70 miles per hour, it has an engine that is typically used in small airplanes. This allows it to glide through the night on hunting missions. 2 hours earlier at 2 a.m., a Turkish-made drone, Bayraktar TB2, had taken off from a secret base near Mykolaiv when the sea was pitch black and Russian radar operators were fighting to stay awake during the boring night shift. Getting to the target area was like playing a deadly game of hide-and-seek. Instead of flying straight, the drone took a winding path that kept it far away from Russian missile sites. The operators knew that even though their drone was small, about the size of a large bird on radar, getting careless around enemy air defenses was a quick way to lose $5 million. By 3:30 a.m., the TB2 had reached its destination, a rectangular patch of sky 25 miles long and 12 miles wide, positioned to watch the main sea routes toward Kersonen. From 18,000 feet up, its amazing camera system could see everything below. This wasn't just any camera, but a Canadian-built thing of beauty that could read a license plate from 12 miles away. When switched to heat vision mode, the cold sea became like a thermal map where anything warm, engines, human bodies, even hot coffee glowed against the dark background. At 3:47 a.m., something interesting appeared on the heat vision display. A bright blob was moving west at about 35 miles per hour, leaving a warm trail across the cold water. The operator zoomed in, and the blob transformed into the unmistakable shape of a Russian Kersonen-class landing craft. These 85-foot boats were the workhorses of Russian beach assaults. These were fast, shallow water vessels that could deliver nearly 100 fully armed troops or even a main battle tank right onto the shore. But this boat wasn't alone. 2 more vessels were following about 3 miles behind. In a war, a convoy this big isn't just a patrol or a supply run, but a harbinger of terrible things. Almost immediately, the operator tagged the targets and started recording, knowing every detail might be crucial later. The lead boat was racing across the calm sea like a speedboat, its water jet engines allowing it to skim the surface. Through the heat vision camera, he could see hot spots on the deck that were human shapes. He counted at least 24, probably more, packed inside the boat. These weren't sailors doing routine maintenance. Their movement patterns and the equipment they carried showed that they were soldiers who were ready for battle. By 4:10 a.m., it was clear what the enemy plan was. The convoy was heading directly toward a beach 5 miles west of Kersonen, the same area where Ukrainian forces had reported suspicious Russian activity just a week before. The operator reached for a secure phone, knowing that whatever the Russians were planning, they were about to get a very unpleasant surprise. At 4:15 a.m., after 27 minutes of patient stalking, the operator received the 3 words that would seal the landing craft's fate: cleared to engage. The authorization came from senior officers who had been watching the same camera feed. This wasn't a decision made lightly. Every missile cost $70,000, and the drone only carried 4. More importantly, attacking here would reveal that Ukraine had drone coverage this far south, potentially compromising future operations. But the threat this convoy posed to Kersonen outweighed the risks. The operator immediately began setting up his attack. The Russian boat was now 9 miles from shore, still maintaining 35 miles per hour on a steady course northwest. In the drone business, predictable targets were dead targets. He selected the lead vessel. His plan was to take out the leader first to create maximum confusion. The TB2's autopilot received new instructions: break from the patrol pattern and position for the perfect weapon shot. The drone banked left, beginning a wide arc that would put it directly behind the Russian convoy. Through his monitor, the operator watched the Russian vessel grow larger as his camera's 15-time zoom brought him close enough to see individual crew members moving on deck. Most were clustered near the back of the boat, probably trying to stay out of the wind. Classic mistake. Bunching up just made the missile's job easier. He could see their equipment now: tactical vests, helmets, assault rifles. Definitely not a supply run. The missile he was about to fire was an MAM, a Turkish acronym that translates to Smart Micro Munition. Weighing just 48 pounds, it packed a 22-pound warhead that could punch through light armor, or in this case, turn a boat into floating scrap metal. The missile used laser guidance, meaning the drone would need to keep its laser pointer locked on the target for the entire 43-second flight. One wobble, one moment of lost focus, and the missile would miss. At 4:30 a.m., something changed on the Russian boat. Through his camera, the operator saw crew members moving to the front, setting up what looked like a heavy machine gun. Were they expecting trouble, or was this standard procedure? Either way, he wasn't going to wait around to find out. He made final checks of his systems: laser operational, missile ready, weather conditions perfect with less than 5 miles per hour wind. The only concern was a bank of clouds moving in from the west, but at current speeds, they wouldn't be a factor for another hour. At 4:42 a.m., the range hit 5 miles, a perfect distance for engagement, but something made him pause. Those other 2 boats trailing behind were changing course, one breaking north and one south. They were setting up a perimeter, quite possible for a frontal attack. The operator knew it was now or never. At 4:46 a.m., he squeezed the trigger on his control stick, but instead of the immediate missile launch he expected, his screen flashed a warning: laser malfunction, recalibrate. His heart rate spiked. The Russian boat was now 4 miles from shore and beginning to slow for its final approach. Every second mattered. He turned the laser system off and back on, the classic turn it off and back on again fix that worked on everything from smartphones to million-dollar military hardware. The system ran through its self-test: 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Finally, laser operational. At 4:47 a.m., the MAM missile dropped from the TB2's wing. Its fins deployed immediately, and its seeker began searching for the laser energy reflecting off the target. Inside the weapon, a simple computer ran the calculations: altitude 18,000 feet, target 4.8 miles away, impact time 43 seconds. What the operator didn't know yet was that this landing craft was carrying something the Russians desperately wanted to keep secret. The explosion about to happen would reveal intelligence that would change everything. 28 seconds to impact. The Russian craft continued its approach at 17 miles per hour, completely unaware that death was falling from the sky at 560 miles per hour. The TB2's laser held perfectly steady on the boat's bridge. Even the slightest movement would send the missile off course, but the drone's stabilization system kept the beam locked on like a sniper's scope. 15 seconds to impact. Suddenly, a Russian sailor on deck pointed skyward. He'd spotted something, either the drone or the incoming missile. The operator could see him shouting and waving his arms, but physics doesn't negotiate. The missile was already committed to its target. The heat vision camera showed Russians scrambling across the deck. Some dove for cover behind equipment crates. Others tried to bring their weapons up, as if rifle fire could stop a guided missile in its final dive. But the operator noticed something strange. Several troops were throwing cases overboard. Why would they do that instead of trying to save themselves? 5 seconds. The camera automatically zoomed in, capturing every detail in crystal clear 4K resolution. Ukrainian intelligence officers watching the live feed leaned forward in their chairs. Those weren't regular naval infantry on the deck. Their camouflage pattern was different. The equipment cases bore unusual markings. Whatever this mission was, it had just become Ukraine's most important intelligence discovery of the year. Impact. The MAM struck perfectly in the middle of the boat at 4:48 a.m. primary explosion tore through the hull like paper. The 22-pound warhead, designed to penetrate armor, made short work of the thin steel plating. But then, 1.3 seconds later, something unexpected happened. Those weren't fuel tanks exploding. The distinctive white-hot jet shooting into the night sky came from specialized demolition charges. These were thermite that burned at over 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The Russian landing craft wasn't carrying regular troops for a beach assault. It was carrying a sabotage team equipped with enough explosives to level critical infrastructure. As the boat broke in half and began sinking, the TB2's camera captured something that made the operator immediately call headquarters. Waterproof cases floating free from the wreckage, each marked with Russian letters. In Moscow, someone was about to have a very bad morning. As burning debris rained down on the Black Sea, Russian emergency frequencies exploded with frantic radio traffic. But it wasn't rescue operations they were coordinating, it was damage control. The TB2 operator kept his camera locked on the wreckage. Those secondary explosions weren't ammunition cooking off. The white-hot blasts screamed demolition charges. Whatever the mission was, it had packed enough thermite to destroy bridges, power plants, or other vital targets. Within 90 seconds, both trailing vessels switched directions back toward Crimea. No rescue attempt, no search pattern, just maximum speed retreat. That told its own story. Operational security was more important than their own people. The strategic impact was immediate. Intercepted radio transmissions revealed emergency recalls throughout the Russian fleet. Satellite imagery showed vessels racing back to the port of Sevastopol. Within a week, Russian special operations in the western Black Sea simply stopped. 30 Russian special operations soldiers had trained for months for their secret mission. Advanced demolition experts, elite saboteurs, the best of the best. Their carefully planned operation to strike critical infrastructure around Kersonen ended in 43 seconds. The floating cases, recovered later, revealed plans for a coordinated attack on power stations, bridges, and communication centers. These were evidence of a campaign designed to cripple Ukrainian defenses before a major offensive. Instead, one drone operator sitting in what looked like a teenager's gaming setup had prevented a potential disaster and handed Ukrainian intelligence a treasure trove of information about Russian special operations. Modern warfare had many faces, but this night showed its most decisive one. Sometimes, the most important battles are fought not by armies, but by people with steady hands and perfect timing, hunting silently from the sky. The TB2 returned to base as the sun rose over the Black Sea, its mission complete. In the depths below, the wreckage of Russian ambitions slowly settled into the mud, taking their secrets down with them. The hunter had become the hunted, and the hunted had become the prey. Mission accomplished. If you really enjoyed this video, I highly suggest you watch the ambush in the Red Sea, the US Navy Strikes Back video next for more information on how modern warfare uses ambushes and surprise attacks to disorient and disarm enemy tactics.